All right, good morning, everybody. Christopher Leon Johnson here. So a little early, expecting some other stuff happening in the morning time. And when it's raining, there's always some shitty times.
And in order to undo that, and in order to allow every student to thrive, this bill is the answer. Thank you.
Wow, Jonas, thank you so much for your powerful storytelling. I want to remind folks that this bill, Intro 1134, is about standardized data collection. It requires all city agencies that collect demographic information to use standardized forms. As Jonas alluded to, forms must include language that indicates that providing race and ethnicity information is voluntary, and must include a statement that responses won't reflect eligibility for services. This is really important because in order for our communities to be seen, they need to also trust the government will represent them and keep their stories, their data, their information private and secure. Our next speaker is Sarah from Korean American Family Service Center.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Fajardo. I'm the Senior Director of Community Engagement and Advocacy for the Korean American Family Service Center. And I'm so proud to be standing with our fellow CACF members today to advocate and testify on behalf of this critical bill. Every day at the Korean American Family Service Center, we serve folks who come through our doors seeking safety, building trust, as we've heard, and seeking services in response to hate and to violence. Our clients every day ask of us to receive services, to get what they need, and we know that violence thrives in silence, in lack of data, and lack of information. In order to help prevent violence, in order to better serve our clients and our communities, we need information. We need to break the silence, we need data, and so this bill is an important step in making sure that we can do our work, meet the needs of communities, and actually start preventing violence from happening all across New York City and New York State. So thank you. Join us in testifying today and pushing for this bill. Thank you.
Invisible?
No more!
Invisible?
No more!
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Wei Yi Chan, President and CEO of Home Press Community Services.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you to the CACF for organizing this such a powerful Invisible No More campaign. Even we have a small group, but we are powerful, right?
Yes.
I stand before you today to express my unwavering support for the New York City Council Bill, Intro 1134, a crucial step for making our city more inclusive, equitable, and responsive to the diverse community that we serve. So why does this bill matter? This legislation is not just a policy change. It's the recognition of our shared humanity. It introduces more detailed categories for race and ethnicities, allowing individuals to identify as truly they are. For far too long, many AAPI communities have been grouped into broad categories that fail to capture their unique identities and needs. By expanding these options beyond the current categories, this bill ensures that New Yorkers can accurately represent their heritage and experiences. In addition, this bill strengthens the ability of community-based organizations like all of us here today to advocate more effectively and providing access to the detailed demographic data. With a clear understanding of our community's unique needs, we can better pursue funding and more resources that we deserve. For the city agency level, this data means more targeted, equitable services, ensuring that every New Yorker is seen, heard, and valued. We are calling to the City Council right here to support Intro 1134 delay. Again, this is not just a policy issue. It's a matter of justice. It's about ensuring every New Yorker, regardless of their background, have access to the resources and services they deserve. Together, we're gonna make sure that communities are invisible no more. Thank you.
Right. We are so excited. All right, she's ready. We are so excited to have council member Alexa Aviles of Brooklyn share some remarks with us today. Thank you so much for co-sponsoring this bill.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As you know, I'm Councilmember Alexa Aviles. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for advocating for this important piece of legislation. As you know, right, while we are one humanity, we need more information for the different groups of people that'll help us do the right thing, that'll help us do policies that actually make sense and relate to the distinctions between communities. And we see that this is so important to do better policy, to do better programming, to make sure that people are really counted and looked at in a nuanced way. And so this particular piece of legislation will do a couple things that are really important, right? It'll create 3 tiers of categories for collecting race and ethnicity data. This is important. We're distinct, and some of our communities need very tailored solutions. Why don't we want a government that works? We do. We do. And this is important to make sure that our policies and our programs actually work for our communities. It also details regional subgroups, right? Again, they want to lump us up in one and just drive us away. Regional subgroups are really important. This is about data information. And lastly, detailed subgroups. And it adds transnational categories like Indo-Caribbean. It's important to know for data. And lastly, it asks us to it adopts the federal standards. And this is also really important. Why do we want data that doesn't make sense and is incoherent? This is common sense. Anyone who opposes something like this, something is deeply wrong with their rationalization process. This will help our communities get the things that they need. So thank you so much. I'm a proud sponsor of this legislation. We should pass it. This again is a no-brainer. This is the kind of things we should be able to do very easily because we know it's the right thing to do for our communities. So thank you so much.
We appreciate you. When I say data equity, you say now. Data equity. Now. Data equity. Now. Data equity. Now. Our next speaker is a wonderful Ashley Chen from Chinese American Planning Council.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Ashley Chen. I'm the policy analyst at the Chinese American Planning Council, the largest Asian American social service organization in the country. Every year, we serve over 80,000 New Yorkers from AAPI, immigrant, and low-income communities across the 5 boroughs. Asian Americans are the fastest growing racial group in New York City. We are not a monolith. The AAPI umbrella includes people from dozens of countries, hundreds of languages, and a vast range of cultures, incomes, and experiences. At CPC alone, we serve immigrants from more than 40 countries, speaking 25 languages. And with that diversity comes a range of needs in education, in healthcare, in housing, and language access that are too often rendered invisible by inadequate data collection. That's why we are here today to urge the City Council to pass Intro 1134, a bill that would require city agencies to collect and report more detailed and disaggregated race and ethnicity data. Because the truth is simple. We can't fight for what we can't see. When communities are lumped together into broad categories, the most vulnerable among us fall through the cracks. Passing Intro 1134 is about visibility. It's about justice. It's about ensuring that every New Yorker, regardless of background, is seen, heard, and served. Thank you.
I really appreciate what Ashley shared because I want to remind folks that the additional reporting and serving improvement is what is required coming out of agencies in collecting this imperative data. Agencies must evaluate their services based on the collected data, and annual reports required on how services are modified based on that data. So not only are we pushing and advocating for data to be collected at city agencies, but reporting is another important process so that we know what is being collected, how it's being collected, and then of course, what agencies are doing to better improve how they service our communities. Our next speaker is Micah from Siena.
Good morning. My name is Micah Dicker, and I represent Siena, the Center for the Integration and Advancement of New Americans, based in Astoria, Queens, for almost 20 years. In recent years, the communities that Siena serves, Middle Eastern, West Asian, and South Asian immigrants, have found a home in the greater Asian American and Pacific Islander AAPI diaspora. Thanks to our partnership with CACF and our fellow member organizations, like the ones here, we do not have to advocate for our communities alone. We are proud to stand with them today in calling for the passage of Intro 1134. When our city collects data based on imprecise, outdated categorizations of race and ethnicity, we risk miscategorizing the very communities we aim to serve and advocate for, and widen financial, educational, and health equity gaps that CBOs like Siena and all of us here aim to close. Our Arab American neighbors know this well, having experienced targeted discrimination for years. Inclusion under the AAPI umbrella has greatly amplified their voices, but it's still not perfect. North Africans, for instance, compose a large portion of Arabic speakers in Astoria, but geographically they're technically not considered Asian, and many of them might identify with their Amazigh or Berber heritage rather than Arab American heritage. There are over 60 or 70 ethno-linguistic groups in South Asia, but as we heard, only Bangla, Urdu, sometimes Hindi, sometimes Nepali are represented or mentioned in official documents. There are diasporic communities like Indo-Caribbeans, there are indigenous communities, there are multi-heritage and multiracial communities within the AAPI broader umbrella. But under current practices, city data renders many of these cultures completely invisible and even more marginalized than they already are. Under Intro 1134, all New Yorkers will be given more options to self-identify their race and ethnicity. Middle Eastern North African will finally be considered its own category, with the option to specify individual nationality and heritage. City agencies will be required to categorize and track its increasingly diverse population from the scores of ethnic groups across Asia, the hundreds in the Pacific Islands, and every other ethnic group that calls New York City home. Data disaggregation is all about understanding the makeup and diversity of New York City's communities and their numbers, making their needs more visible to policymakers, and ensuring that they receive their fair share of the city's resources: health, educational, financial, and more. Asian Americans are not a monolith, have never been a monolith, but nevertheless stand united in our joint fight for individual recognition. Thank you, Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan and all the members supporting this resolution for their advocacy, and for championing this bill. We ask the Committee on Government Operations, State and Federal Legislation to vote unanimously in favor of this bill without delay. Thank you.
That's right. Not only is it today's hearing for Intro 1134, but we want to ensure that our city council members pass this bill unanimously. All right, that is critical. Thank you so much. Michael also touched on an important asset to this bill, and that is making sure that our Middle Eastern, North African communities are not seen as a monolith either. And to speak more on that is Rana Abdelhamid, Executive Director of Malika.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Rana Abdelhamid. I'm the Executive Director of Malika, which is an anti-violence organization based in Queens. I actually came to this work really a little bit randomly. It was during the pandemic in which I really saw the ways in which my community, as someone organizing in Astoria, as someone organizing predominantly in a North African community, was erased. I was seeing my neighbors unfortunately experience the virus, seeing many of my neighbors experience food security, housing security. But when I was trying to advocate and organize, it was so hard to make the point because there was no data to back the reality of the death and of the violence that my community was experiencing at the time. And so that is how I got connected with CACF, which has been such an incredible partner, because for me, it wasn't just about growing up and not seeing myself on data forms, but it became more real for me when I saw my communities erased at that time. So for so long in the city, MENA people have been made invisible, as you all know in our city's data. We are lumped into the category of white,
which erases our unique struggles as immigrants, as Arabs, as Muslims, as Black and Brown and Amazigh North Africans, and as working class people, and as communities that are not seen as white by the systems. Our communities face surveillance, we face discrimination, we face language barriers, and economic exclusion. And so if the system does not see us as white, why are we being lumped in with white within the data that is supposed to help further our community's needs, help resource our community? And that's why I'm so proud today to advocate for the passage of Intro 1134. It's going to be, it literally is, oftentimes life or death for our community to have this data. I know that you can't fight for affordable housing if you don't exist in data. You can't demand culturally competent healthcare or language access if your community is not statistically visible. I know that because I've tried to, and I have not been able to organize without this data. And so this is why this bill matters. Disaggregated data gives us the power to be seen, to be counted, and resourced. And I'm so grateful for CACF and the entire coalition for standing in solidarity and alongside the Middle Eastern and North African community to make sure that we're included in this fight for data visibility and data disaggregation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our communities who fight every single day to make sure we're seen, we're heard, we're resourced, and we are funded. We want to thank again our sponsors. We have so many, but most primarily Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan, who is our champion of this bill, along with our other 15 council members. So we thank you so much. We're so grateful to Council Chair Ressler for bringing this bill to a hearing today, and we truly hope that our communities are heard and seen.